Says, keep this forever in the imagination of the thoughts of the heart. In other words, help them to remember. You remember by using your imagination. You know, many people didn't grow up in just one place. You might have moved around, and so because of that, you don't have just a memory of one place that you grew up. But I grew up in one house ever since I was 2 years old. I grew up in the same place, and so if you were to ask me about that house, I guarantee you I can describe that to you, and yet I'm not looking at it. It's not like I can see it with my physical eyes, but I've got that burnt in my memory. That's your imagination. I can show you that house. I could tell you everything about that house. And it's not only limited to that, but just anything. If you want to remember where your car is parked, did you know that you use your imagination? If you come out of a mall, you may not remember like an exact spot that it's parked, but you remember that when you come out of the mall, you got to go to the right or to the left. You're on the front row, you're on the back row. You have some type of a picture of this. If I was to ask you about how many windows do you have in your bedroom, most of you have not ever counted those, but you could count them. You could count the number of doors in your house. Let's say the outside doors. How many outside doors do you have in your house? Did you know you can't see that? And most of you haven't sat down and calculated this, but you could tell me because you can see it. That's your imagination. And you have an imagination. You can't function without one. If you couldn't get home if you didn't have an imagination. Your imagination is your ability to remember, and you remember what it looks like. If I was to ask you, how do you get from where you are to the airport or to, some eating place or something like that, and if you'd been there before, you could tell me. You could say you go down here to the second, or you'd count and say, no, it's the third light, and then you turn right or left, and you could tell me what's on the corner. You can't see that with your physical eyes, but you can see it in your heart. So I'm just saying all of these things to say that when some people, when I talk about imagination, they think that's childish. I'm dealing in reality. I'm not going to sit here and imagine something. Well, I'm not talking about fantasy. I'm talking about your ability to see something with your heart. You can't remember, you can't think, you can't function without an imagination. So there is a positive use of the imagination. Matter of fact, I've got this little booklet and I've got some things defined here. The word vision, here from Proverbs chapter 29, verse 18, it says, where there is no vision, the people perish, but he that